Hey sneakies, welcome back for some more Warframe on the PlayStation 4. In this episode we finally see the big guy here, Rhino Prime's intro, as well as the Ignis primary weapon, which is a pretty cool flamethrower. Anyways, let's head into the foundry and build all this stuff. So this is the way the foundry used to look prior to Update 14's release, and you'll see it actually change over the course of this video because this was recorded both before and after it came out. Anyways, as you can see I have the three Rhino Prime pieces, his chassis, his helmet, and his systems. So whenever you're building a Warframe, you always have to start out with those three. They each require 12 hours and 15,000 credits. And then after those are done, you come back and claim them. Then you can build the actual blueprint, which takes 72 hours. So we're just going to build these three, and then we'll come back in 12 hours. And here we are 12 hours later. You can see they're all ready to claim, so we'll just grab all three of them. And if you look at the top, there's actually different tabs you can go on. There's one called In Progress, which is the one I'm currently on. It makes it easier to find all these completed ones because it's only showing ones that have been started. So always use that because it's much quicker. And here we are back at the Rhino Prime blueprint. It requires the three pieces that we just built and claimed, as well as 3 Orokin cells. It's a little bit demanding, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it. So here we are back on Update 14. Rhino Prime is ready to claim, as you can see. And he takes Rhino's ground-shaking abilities to the next level with altered mod polarities that offer greater customization. So we'll take a quick look at exactly how the two differ, but for now let's just claim him and get onto the Ignis. Alright, so the Ignis is another Clan Dojo research weapon. You can grab it from one of the labs there, you just pay some credits and you copy the blueprint to your foundry like so. And then you can come here. It does require a forma as all other Clan Dojo weapons do. And in this particular case, it also requires Dead Knight injectors. You can actually grab the blueprint for that as well from the same exact lab. Anyways, this looks like a pretty cool flamethrower, so we're just going to build this, and in 24 hours we'll claim it. And just like that, 24 hours are now gone, so the Ignis produces a stream of intense heat. Obviously, that's what a flamethrower does. And now we'll claim this and head into the arsenal so we can customize Rhino Prime's appearance before we finally get into his intro mission. And here we are in the arsenal. He has everything equipped that he'll be using in his intro episode. And I was originally going to change his color scheme around, but I actually really like his default look. So for this first one, we're just going to stick with it. And then we can probably change it in maybe his next video. Anyways, let's take a quick look at how he compares to regular Rhino. Now, if you'll shift your eyes over to the right side of the screen, you'll see how they compare stats-wise. It appears that they are exactly the same, so there's no difference in terms of that. But there is a difference in relation to their polarity icons, so we'll take a quick look at regular Rhinos and then we'll move on to Rhino Prime. And here he is sporting the whole evil look that everybody's been using lately in the series. So let's take a quick look at his polarity icons and his mod setup. By default, regular Rhino has 2 polarities. Each of them is actually a defensive one, so he can equip mods such as Vitality and Redirection, allowing him to absorb more damage and be a more effective tank overall. Now let's take a quick look at Rhino Prime. Now by default he has the exact same 2 defensive slots, but in addition to that he also has a tactical one as well. So he can equip something such as Streamline so he can cast his abilities more often because they cost less points to cast. And then his aura mod we will be equipping as we do with the Prime Warframe intros in this series. And it matches up nicely with the offensive ones such as Steel Charge for melee damage and then Rifle Amp for rifle damage. Now you'll see if we actually equip Steel Charge, it goes from a 9, matching up the slot however, it will go up to an 18. So we now have 18 points available to equip other mods over here. However, I'm actually going to use Rifle Amp because it makes more sense with the Ignis in this intro episode. So now we have 14 points, and then we'll just equip all of his other abilities. Right here we have Rhino Charge, his basic starting one. He basically just dashes forward, attacking all in his path. We definitely have to make sure we get his very useful Iron Skin on, which happens to be at max rank. That's definitely going to help him seriously in this episode. You're about to find out why, too. And then we also have a Roar. This is what you cast when you want to make your attacks more powerful. So you cast that, then you start attacking afterwards. And then Rhino Stomp is his most powerful one. He stomps on the ground, causing enemies around him to go into stasis up in the air, and they also take damage as well. So this will be his setup for this episode. We'll definitely try to make sure we get each of the abilities used at least once. And let's get to the mission finally. So for his intro episode, I want to do something a little different. Typically with the Prime Warframe, I'll go to the Void because there's certain benefits that go in there for each of them. And it's a little bit boring to do the same thing every time. As you would know if you've been following the series, you know that I typically went to the first 2 planets to do missions for these intros. But this time I'm actually going to fight the infestation on a dark sector survival mission. And this is probably going to be suicidal considering the enemies range from level 12 to 22 and he's unranked, but I think he'll stand a good fighting chance because you can usually get away with higher level infestation without worrying too much because they're not really as big of a threat necessarily as the other Warframes. This will also kind of be an introduction to the dark sector missions because I haven't done one up to this point in the series yet. Anyways, pretty much you go on to what you selected and then it brings you to a screen very similar to this. You'll see that a clan or an alliance is always in control of one of these missions, and the reason for that is because they can have bragging rights, but more importantly, they can also put taxes on it. You'll see that there's a credit tribute and also a resource tribute, so they can actually customize exactly the amounts there, and then every time someone plays this, they're actually being forced to give that percentage back to this clan or alliance. They also have their little message they can customize at the top. Usually they use that for like recruiting purposes or even taunting their enemies or something like that. And then rail integrity. So in order to take over one of these missions, you have to build a rail in your clan dojo. And then you're able to actually deploy it, and then basically a little clan war kind of takes place where one side will be the currently controlling clan or alliance and then the other side will be the opposing who's trying to actually fight them for it. And then everybody who comes on here, every random person can select to side with one side or the other. You'd base which side you choose to side with based on how much taxation they're going to implement on you, and also maybe the fact that you don't want a certain clan or alliance to control it forever. Anyways, Dark Sector Survival, Infestation, Faction, levels range from 12 to 22. I do hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to click like if you do and you want to see more in this series. Also, never miss another video ever again by clicking subscribe to become a sneaky today. And here we go. Infiltrated.
Keep the enemy busy while a fellow tunnel operative raids the ship for supplies. Ready? Trigger the alarm.
Alright, now the basics of survival. You come on here, you have to come over and activate this by hacking into it. And then it will actually initiate the whole mission. Very simply, just line up all the lines.
Life support has been cut off. They're trying to choke you out. Hold on. I'm sending auxiliary life support. The first life support capsule has arrived. Activate it when your supply is low. Heavy infestation ahead. Get ready.
Oh yes, I'm really looking forward to using the Ignis here because the infestation are actually vulnerable to fire damage especially. So I should be able to dominate them pretty well. And it's always important to activate Iron Skin as soon as possible when you start a mission with Rhino because his job is to take as much damage as possible for the team because he's a tank. And that just allows him to take even more than he normally can by default. And look at them burn. This is crazy. I love this right now. Oh, it just rolled over that guy. Take that. Now, the infestation actually come in larger groups typically than the Grineer and Corpus factions do. And as a flamethrower, this is going to be a crowd control weapon, so it just works out even better. And it's really working well here so far. Look at this. It's just absolutely demolishing everybody. I mean, it's especially impressive when you think about it. It's an unranked Ignis against level 12 infestation. I mean, granted, they are easier to fight than the Grineer and Corpus anyway, so... And look at that, level 1. Just tearing them to pieces, or actually burning them to a crisp. And there's a Rhino Charge mixed in. Typically want to use that when there's a large group of enemies in front of you because you dash forward, you attack all of them in your path. And it's a pretty good strategy too because they'd be forced to come up those stairs so you can just hold down the flamethrower as they run up to me. You can even kind of use the capsule over here to make them run around it too. Give myself some extra protection.
Capsule is now available.
Now what you want to do in survival missions is activate these little capsules. They're indicated by yellow icons on the minimap on the top left hand corner of the screen. You'll also see that there's a life support system percentage. Each capsule will restore 30%, so you don't want to use it until at least 70%. If you're trying to go long term, you might want to wait even longer than that though. Because especially here in the beginning, if you actually have a group with you, you can keep forcing the enemies to drop their own air supply too. As you'll see, sometimes they do drop it. Not every enemy, of course, because that would make it too simple to complete this. As a matter of fact, there's one right over there behind me. It's right over there next to the capsule. Let's pick those up. They restore some of the air supply as well. Just going to activate this just for purposes of the video to show you exactly how it works.
Should keep you going for a while.
So they'll keep spawning over time, but you don't want to use them all up right away, because if you waste the precious air supply now, you're not going to make it very long here. I'm only going to stay until about 5 minutes though, just because this is the intro episode. I'm not trying to go long term. And wow, demolished. Do you really stand a chance? I don't think so. I don't think I've taken any damage yet either. This is craziness. Oh, and there's a Rhino Stomp. That's his most powerful ability. Typically, it will actually cause them to go up in the air and they'll be like frozen for a little bit. But because it actually killed them, it didn't bother doing that. It's a pretty nice little tactic as well. Great ability. Now I'm just getting ready to launch a roar. I'm just going to get away from them a little bit. This will make my attack stronger. Oh yes. Then a Rhino Charge mixed in. And watch them all burn. This really helps satisfy my inner pyromaniac. I have to say, so far this is definitely a lot of fun to use. I'm going to mix in the Orthos Prime a little bit here too. Just to tear through them just because I can. That's why. Watch out for those Ospreys. Little annoyances. If we can get this before they come. Oh, they're coming! Ah!
Life support activated.
Alright, now as soon as 5 minutes comes, I'm going to start heading for the extraction. Keep messing around with them in here. Rhino Stomp for the win!
Prepare for life support.
Ah, nothing in here. It's just a dead end. It's really cool, too, is if you actually replay missions in this game, there will be different pathways open up every time you go through it, so it's not going to be necessarily the exact same mission every time, but you will eventually get to the point where you've seen it before. Definitely helps with the replayability. Oh, and that was just completely demolished right there.
Another life support capsule.
Alright, so we have less than 20 seconds to go, roughly. Yeah, that's the thing I really like about Warframe. There's so many different weapons, they add a lot of variety in. Granted, there are a lot that play exactly the same and whatnot, but stuff like this definitely makes my day. Helps keep the game fresh and exciting.
If you need it. The raid is off to a successful start.
Now, as you also saw in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, I also received a reward for lasting 5 minutes here.
Infested incoming.
Every 5-minute interval will actually reward something. Usually it's a mod, or if you're playing void missions, you can also expect like prime parts and whatnot. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna hold them back here for a little bit. Just to give you an idea, like if there's a lot of enemies coming after you in such a enclosed space like this staircase here, you can pretty much hold them back pretty well. Anyways, now we're heading to the extraction. More than likely there won't be any enemies in front of me from this point going forward. So I should be pretty safe. Of course, the life support is going down though. And I'm going to be passing by some capsules. I'm not going to bother activating them unless they're already there though. That one's still charging up to actually spawn. Okay, now this part's a little bit annoying. Oh man, this is driving me crazy. It happens every time.
I've delivered another life support capsule. You are running out of time. Consider extraction.
There we go. I just got a little bit lucky there. Usually I'd prefer to have like Excalibur to use his super jump ability because he can just jump right into it very easily. There's got to be some little key to actually getting in there on your first try. I haven't actually found it personally myself yet, but maybe someday. Now I'm just going to wait around here to show you exactly what happens if the oxygen supply runs out. You'll see the screen starts turning blue around the edges, and then I'm also losing my shield. I'll eventually start losing my health after that's all gone, and it will drop down to an absolute minimum of 5 health.
Another job well executed.
And just like that, he went up 2 ranks. The Ignis went up 2 ranks as well. Event score 401. Got a couple of mods out of it. And here we are back at our ship. Still get another second chance to see all the stats of what went down in that game. Got redirection, convulsion, and parry was the reward for the 5-minute marker. And then quick look at the stats. I want to check. I think I actually took absolutely 0 damage. Look at that, 0% damage taken. That's definitely one of Rhino's benefits for sure. You can do that pretty often with him. Usually not if you last for a really long time in a survival mission or something like that, though. Anyway, Sneakies, I do hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to click like if you did and you want to see more videos in this series. Also, never miss another video in this series ever again by clicking subscribe to become a Sneaky today. And I will see you next time for some more Warframe on the PlayStation 4.